entrances in and out of this property. So there's one via Portland Street and another one via Madeira Place, which is just what the basement level property or garden level properties, their addresses are registered on. So where that area is just here to the front of the lounge is a kind of shared communal entranceway for basically the properties at 5A, Madeira Place. So the kind of front entranceway just to the behind where Emma is actually organizes to where you kind of walk onto. Now, Emma has just outside, which we'll show you later, has a private storage cupboard out there. So we'll be able to kind of show you. So that's just in the boiler there. Now, I know, Emma, can I just confirm that you said in the property questionnaire that you replaced the boiler about 8 years ago because you've owned the flat about 10 years, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Perfect. So basically she installed this combi boiler here about 8 years ago. So for anybody that was asking for a copy or to where the washing machine is, it's actually in this cupboard here, which this is the wall that shares over with the kitchen. So we've got built-in storage. So as we're crossing over from the living room going into the back bedroom, so this is actually looking out to the rear, everyone, where it is the communal gardens. So they're very well maintained. Emma, do you have any storage cupboards in your bedroom that you can show us?
Yes.
Perfect.
Got an Edinburgh press just here. It's all shelved.
Great. Perfect. And the freestanding wardrobes there. Emma, can you confirm how many flats share the garden? Is it the 4 that share the gardens at the ground level, or is it the other users on Portland Street as well? Do they have access there?
It's mainly the 4 basement flats that use it, but a couple of people from upstairs sometimes use it as well, but not very often.
Okay, perfect. And then your freestanding wardrobes, are those something that you're intending to leave behind, or will you be wanting to take those with you?
They'll be left.
Okay, perfect. They're still going to be...
There's drawers in there as well. There's 6 drawers, 3 on either side, and lots of hanging space.
Good. And I know that's something that Emma had said before about the flooring, is that actually the flooring all from the hallway there to the lounge, that's actually when she bought the property, how it was left. And then she actually sanded and then varnished the flooring in the bedroom there. Emma, one of the viewers wants to know what size of the bed, just to get a feel for the kind of size of the room. Is that a king?
That's a double bed.
A double bed, perfect. And you've still then got room on both sides then if somebody wanted something slightly larger. So now we're going into the shower room here. And have you had to do anything kind of in terms of refinishing for the shower room or the bathroom or the kitchen since you've bought the property in 10 years?
I've not done anything in the shower room, but I did put in the kitchen.
Okay, so you just basically replaced like for like in terms of just the units and things like that.
Not exactly. There wasn't
Okay.
really much of a kitchen in here when I moved
Okay.
in.
Good.
So I'll just go outside, yeah?
Perfect. Yeah, that's great.
Oh, I meant to unlock the outdoor cupboard. Sorry. 1 second. I'll just grab the key.
There's one thing, so when we go out to the rear, kind of the shared gardens, now the service does go a bit funny, so we may be limited in terms of what we're able to do on the backside, just to ensure that we don't lose anybody. However, we are able to show out to the front. So this is all the communal space here that's shared with the next door neighbor, but this is a private storage cupboard that's included with this flat. And this is the kind of access point to Portland Street. So it's good for obviously storing bikes and keeping garden area. Now, Emma does actually maintain a lot of the kind of shared garden out to the rear because, as kind of most people know who have a flat here in Edinburgh, that it's usually the people who use the garden most that end up kind of maintaining it.
Sorry, Zaina, did you say that this cupboard belongs to the flat? This one is
Yes,
not shared.
yes, that's yours.
Yeah.
That's private. Perfect. Do you mind kind of, yeah, walking up towards Portland Street if that's okay? So this is actually Portland Street just out to the front, and then Madeira Place is actually just right behind.
So if you go down that road to the right, it takes you to the entrance of Ocean Terminal.
Perfect. Yeah, where Lindsay Road is there in Commercial Street.
And that's the living room window.
And then one of the viewers was asking if this area is shared. So it is technically on the title deed shared access area. But Emma had said before that because she's mainly, it looks directly onto her property, that she is the one who kind of painted this and whitewashed everything. And then those are her table and chairs. And she's really one of the only people who sits out there.
Yeah, no one else uses this area.
So whilst it won't be kind of listed in the title deeds under, if you do purchase the property as privately yours, it is almost assumed ownership. So that would be one access point. Which way do you usually come in, Emma? Do you come in via Portland Street or do you go Madeira Place?
I normally park on Portland Street, but it just depends if I'm going to the shops. I use Madeira Place. It really just depends. I use either or.
Yeah. Do you want to try to go out there a little bit just to see how far our Wi-Fi will go? Okay, perfect. So yeah, like I said, everybody, it may go out just a little bit just as it's coming into it. Let's see. I don't know, Emma, that's completely froze on our screen, so we may have to come back in. Oh, that's nice. Okay. Okay. So slight pause.
Did I lose you?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, do you mind still continuing if we can just do like another tour of it, if that would be okay, just on the inside?
Sure.
Perfect. Emma, somebody was asking what time do the front and back gardens get the sun?
So the sun comes in the bedroom window in the morning, and you get the sun till about 5:30 in the evening.
In here?
In the garden.
Okay, and yep.
And then it travels around the building, and then you get it in the living room late afternoon, evening.
Perfect. And then, no, I know in terms, somebody else was asking a question about the parking. No, the parking on both Madeira Place and on Portland Street is
There
all
is,
unrestricted on-street parking. Have you
yes.
ever really had any issues in terms of trying to get a space?
Never really, no.
Yeah, I mean, well, hopefully this doesn't weird anybody else. But I actually live very near to where Emma's flat is myself personally, and so I know the area quite well. And I walk my dog up very nearby, and I know that I've even had some issues because I live in a modern flat, and I've have issues where people park in our private area, especially over the festival when people want to rent. So I've actually parked on Portland Street myself and have never had any issues. So because there is a development across the street, but that is all residents parking over there. So I think with that development opening, that's actually opened up a lot of the spaces on the street there. Now I know some of the things, and maybe this is a good one to ask Emma. So on the home report, there was a couple of areas with a category 2 for some moisture readings, but that was obviously addressed from when you had purchased the property about 10 years ago, and the previous owner had done damp proofing. And so we
Yes.
do have a guarantee for this, which is a 30-year guarantee from Apex Property Care.
Yeah, that's right.
But it was really just to let everybody know that.
I mean, I've never had it checked since I moved in, but
Yeah.
you know, it's so I've never felt I needed to.
Well, I do know that the home report surveyor just mentioned that it was just kind of moisture readings, and they do obviously need to comment on it, but it wasn't anything that they felt like it was kind of rising damp. They just said that it is moisture readings and somebody may need to perfect. Somebody asked Emma if they can see out the bedroom window again.
Yeah,
I think before that, if you don't mind, if we can do the utility cupboard there, just on the right.
this one.
Mm-hmm. And then, do you know, Emma, and I think I will know the answer as well, that wall just there separating the kitchen and the utility room here from the living room, do you know if that's a load-bearing wall, or is that kind of any stud partition? Are you
I
able to knock
think
on it?
that is a load-bearing wall.
Are you able to knock on it? And is it stone? Mm,
Maybe that one isn't
potentially.
actually.
Yeah, go in
I
if you don't
think
mind doing it.
this one is. Oh,
Well, maybe the back wall there, yeah, if you can.
that's definitely stone.
Yeah, I mean, it may be the case if somebody is interested, obviously, that once the in-person viewings can be allowed, that we're happy to kind of allow you to kind of bring in a builder, or, you know, just depending on when the lockdown restrictions lift, that we can do that. And as somebody has asked if you have lived in the property the entire 10 years that you've owned it, or did you ever previously rent it out?
I've always lived in it.
Perfect, as a homeowner. And do you know if any of the other kind of properties in the stair, or maybe your next door neighbor, have they rented theirs out as well?
So they're all bought. The one opposite, there's someone renting that at the moment, but it's
Okay.
long-term rental.
Okay. We got really lucky because it was raining last night.
Yeah. So it's quite secluded. A lot of greenery.
Somebody has asked if you've ever had any issues with like darkness in the winter time, just because of like, obviously with the kind of shorter, you know, kind of days or anything like that, or is it still the case that, you know, is it still quite light?
Yeah.
Is that mainly just kind of to the rear out here, just because of it being kind of at the garden level, or is it kind of quite dark in the living room area because of the wall there?
Right now,
No,
it's
in the
not.
winter.
In the winter, is it
Yeah,
dark?
yeah.
It's not too bad. It's like when it's bright outside, it's bright in the flat.
Mhm.
On dull days, it's obviously not as light.
Because I think that's usually always kind of a concern that people have about any sort of ground or basement level flats, with it being kind of subfloor, is it a little bit darker than what they would get kind of obviously at the upper levels, or how dark is it compared to the upper levels? And I know obviously with
Yeah,
that one.
I probably don't. I obviously don't get as much light as the flats above, but because
Mm-hmm,
there's a window on either end,
mm-hmm.
it travels right through the flat. So if it's coming in the bedroom window in the morning, it'll go right through, and then vice versa when you get it in the living room in the evening, it
Yeah.
sort of travels through.
And because that's an east and west facing, so obviously bedroom is east, and then we're going into
The garden is south facing.
Is that a south facing? Okay.
Oh, here comes the sun.
Okay.
So it's really sheltered in the garden as well. Sometimes it can be really, like on a windy day, you don't even know it's windy if you're in the garden. You just don't feel it.
And then both the windows that you have, both in the bedroom and in the living room, both of them are double glazing, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
They're double glazing. And did you replace both of them when you bought the property, or did you just replace one?
I only replaced the bedroom window. The previous owner hadn't been living here for a while, so we wanted to put a window with a vent in, just for ventilation.
And how long ago did you do that?
Maybe about 8 years ago.
So about the same time that you did the central heating system?
Yeah.
And so one of the viewers was just wanting to confirm what direction the actual windows are facing, both at the lounge and at the garden.
So the bedroom window is facing south, and the living room window faces north.
Perfect. And then somebody else has asked if you've ever had any issues with flooding for kind of heavy rain. I mean,
never.
Yeah, and like I said, I personally live close, and I live in a kind of first floor flat, and we've never had any issues I've lived here for 15 years now, and I've never had any issues kind of in the area, or when I'm walking. Like I said, I'm a very regular walker in the location, and I've never had any issues.
Yeah.
Another person just asked, are any of your neighbors families? Like, I'm assuming that would maybe be upstairs versus, is next door just a 1-bedroom flat as well?
Next door is a single guy, but the other basement flats, there's one of my neighbours, Brian, his daughter lives in the flat next door.
Okay.
And the upstairs neighbour at the top has 2 boys.
Okay. Do you mind showing the boiler again, Emma, if you don't mind? So again, just anybody who's joining in or needing to take notes. So the boiler, Emma replaced it. So she's owned the property for 10 years, and she replaced the central heating system in about 8 years ago. Emma, are you able to confirm, are your lights in the bedroom, hallway, and the living room, are they on or off just now?
The lights in the kitchen and the hallway and shower room are on. They're also on in the living room just now.
Perfect. Do you mind turning the light off in the living room just to see how much natural light we get?
That's the light off.
So it's still quite bright. Somebody's asked if you hear, like, if you get much noise from the neighbors, either above or to the side at all.
I hardly hear a thing here. Very, very rarely.
Somebody's asked, Emma, if you would be okay to actually try to turn on the shower just to kind of hear.
Yeah.
Just in terms of the water pressure.
Is that okay?
Yep, that's perfect. Another person's asked if there's ever been any issues with the bathroom pipe work or kind of leaks in the block.
No.
I think from
in this flat or from above?
Well, probably both. I mean, I know that actually from the paperwork with the damp guarantee for when the previous owner for when you had bought it, they had, I believe that they had said that some of the work or some of the kind of the damp guarantee from Apex Property was maybe from an upstairs like leak that had been trickling down. So again, that was back in 2003. So since you've owned it for 10
No.
years. And so that's a 30-year guarantee. And they just said that there was some moisture to the walls that just needed to be ventilated. So if anybody does want to have a look at that guarantee, that we can obviously have an electronic copy that we can send over. But you're saying that you've never had any issues?
No, no.
Perfect. Maybe just head into the bedroom. Somebody was asking about what's happening just now with selling your viewings due to kind of COVID-19. Really just to let you guys know that obviously just because of lockdown restrictions, we're not able to do in-person viewings. And until we get clarity on when the Scottish government and also the UK government will allow any sort of movements, we're not able to do in-person viewings for any occupied properties. That's not to say that obviously we're not prepared to consider any offers. Actually here at Warner's, we've actually since lockdown agreed 30 offers for properties. And there have been some that are subject to an in-person viewing, whereas the interested purchaser, once it's safe to do so, is allowed to come into the property as given like a first refusal to look at the property. So any questions, just feel free to get in touch with our office and we're happy to assist. Somebody's asking if you don't mind, Emma, maybe to try to open the windows and close them just so they can see obviously the security or how easy they are to open.
Yeah. So that one tilts open.
And does it open, so does it tilt and turn as well?
Yeah.
I should have just waited for you, then you would have done it. Perfect. Do you mind doing kind of a far right kind of angle of the camera just to see what's on the right hand side, if you don't mind, Emma? And is that with one of the other flats kind of shared, one of the other basement flats next door, or is that kind of the pathway leading?
That's the pathway leading out to the lane, to Madeira place.
If any, Emma was really good and sent us kind of video clips, and which is actually uploaded on the property's details, or it's on our YouTube channel. So you can actually see her entering into the property there. The lane does have, it does have a gate. Does the lane have security lights, Emma?
There's a sensor light just at the gate, just as you leave the garden and go into the lane.
Perfect, but there's actually where the walled-in lane is from Madeira Place to the actual gate, there's no sensory lights there.
There's a light, I don't know if I'll get it from here. There's a light just on the wall here.
Uh-huh.
Can you see that?
Yes.
And in the corridor between the two flats, there's a light that comes on automatically.
Okay.
And actually there's one in the tree, I don't know if you'll see it, that comes on at night as well.
Perfect. Somebody was asking if the garden is boundaried, or are you able to access all parts?
I can access all parts.
Okay, perfect. And is that all the furniture in there? Is that kind of communal, or is that private to anybody's, like the benches and things like that?
That's communal.
Perfect. Emma, have you had, somebody was asking if you've ever had, like with any sort of like shared communal repairs, if you know, like if you ever had to do any communal repairs at all, like with the roof or the boundary walls or anything like that?
No, not major. There was a piece of pipe that got replaced last year. So between the neighbours, it cost £50 each. So it's shared between the whole block, the basement flats and above, and there's 10 in the whole block.
Okay, perfect. And then somebody was asking if it's possible to have a look at the bathroom again, specifically to kind of check out the bathroom sink.
Yeah. Oh, that's the electricity meter up there.
And that's in the hallway just there?
Yeah.
Perfect. And as somebody else was asking how many other flats actually use the communal gardens. I mean, we've had like some really, really fantastic weather over the last couple of weeks. Have there been kind of more people, more neighbors than usual going out into the gardens, or has it still been primarily yourself and maybe one other?
It's mainly me and number 3.
Okay.
But a couple of people from upstairs sometimes pop down. But everyone gets on really well, and it's quite nice and social, the garden.
And are you able to open that window as well?
Yeah. So it's got a catch there, and
so this is also a double glazing unit. It's just not as new as the bedroom one.
And it just pulls down.
Perfect. And does the bottom level pull up at all?
The bottom lifts up as well.
Perfect. Somebody else has asked how many heaters are on the wall, like how many radiators are located. So we've got
one in the living room, one in the bedroom, one in the hall, and the towel rail in the shower room.
Perfect.
They've all been replaced as well.
Is that about the same time that you did the central heating system, like you replaced it with a boiler?
Yes.
Perfect. And then in the bathroom here, somebody else was asking if they can have another view of the actual sink just to see the space on either side of the sink. And so this is definitely, you didn't kind of replace any aspect of the shower room.
I've not done a thing in here.
Perfect.
And I put the towel rail in, that's the only thing I did, and I put the flooring down.
Excellent.
There's a slight step up to the shower room as well.
Okay, perfect.
Point that out.
And somebody else was asking how old is the electric wiring? You didn't touch the electrics whenever you purchased the property, did you?
No, so this is something I've been planning to do, but just never got round to. I did all the big jobs, but I think this is a really easy job. If you just give me a second. Too short. So I have been told all I would need to do is replace these. They're wired, so I would just replace the circuits. I can't remember the technical terms, but I think it's relatively easy, and would only cost maybe just over £100.
Okay. And then we've had a couple of people. So is that the same flooring in both the bathroom and the kitchen?
It is, yes.
Perfect. And are you able to confirm kind of what was the flooring like underneath it that was there? Is that just like concrete or?
This is just wood.
Okay.
Underneath.
Mm-hmm. Oh, perfect. Okay.
And it's just, again, it's just wood underneath.
Perfect.
In fact, that might be stone, but it's got like hardwood.
Mm-hmm.
Plyboard. Not sure.
So somebody else has asked if you can go into the kitchen and then knock on the wall, like kind of almost like you're down towards the oven and the stove. Yep. Keep walking down, keep walking down, keep walking down. Yep. So almost where that cupboard, because I think that's probably going to be a kind of load bearing wall there, guys. That is going to be stone. So usually on the ground floor or the basement style flats, any of the kind of hard or kind of stone walls would be considered load bearing. However, if it is the case that you guys, because I think that would maybe be an obvious choice if you wanted to make a bigger kitchen, or if you wanted to kind of go with an open plan, that you could bring in a builder or a contractor to kind of have a look at it. And obviously it would be subject to obtaining planning permission. to kind of put in maybe a kind of a steel supporting beam in there before carrying out any works. So yeah, it's sounding like from Emma hitting on the wall that that's going to be a load-bearing wall. Somebody else has asked Emma if in the bathroom you're able to lift up the lino again, just so they can have a look at that kind of wooden piece.
It's stuck down. It's just that corner that I can lift.
Okay. So that almost looks like kind of the wood flooring, and it's
It's just like wooden.
It's basically just like what it is in your bedroom.
Yeah. Do you want to see the outdoor space again, or?
Yeah, if you don't mind going out to the front as well. But somebody else was asking in terms of the white goods, are those items that you're going to be leaving, like the freestanding washing machine and the cupboard there, which if you don't mind kind of showing that again.
Yeah, so everything in the kitchen I would leave.
So
the oven was replaced about 2 years ago, and this washing machine was replaced the end of March, and that will be staying.
Perfect.
It's a hot point. So it's under guarantee.
Yep, we'll maybe do the outside space again, and then that's coming up for just about 40 minutes there. So we'll do these two, and then we'll pretty much finish up. So as we messaged on text, guys, if anybody has any questions or wants to see any additional angles, just let us know.
You can see the sun's just starting to come round. So this gets it. It's probably about 3:30.
Perfect.
And it's a nice little sunny spot to sit at.
Do you mind showing that cupboard again, Emma, if you've got the keys still? And then if you're going up the steps, like towards Portland Street, if you also can maybe look into the living room just to give everybody assurances in terms of, is the space overlooked, or if people would be coming into the kind of garden space. I was about to say, it's a lot of your reflection.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. Space there. So there's a really great little bakery just over to the left-hand side there, Emma. So that's the North Fort Street Bakery. And obviously just down North Fort Street and off to the right-hand side, so that's Ferry Road. And then if you veer off to the right-hand side, this is obviously heading down Portland Street, and that's Lindsay Road, Commercial Street, and Ocean Drive just at the intersection. Probably, I would say maybe a 2-minute walk down there. So that's where Ocean Terminal is. So you've got your Marks and Spencers, there's Asda just around the corner. And obviously the development and the regeneration into this area, they are building, is it a Lidl or an Aldi, do you remember? Just over.
I think it's Aldi.
Yeah, and what's really great as well, and we have just along just a few minutes further walk, is every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. is a farmer's market. And if anybody's familiar with the other farmer's market in the area, down over in Stockbridge, that's probably one of the most famous ones. It's the owners of that farmer's market that actually set up here down at the shore as well. So that's every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Obviously that's subject to start back up again when lockdown lifts, but at the same time, it's a really, really fantastic area, especially in this really nice weather. They usually have kind of buskers playing live music, and they have food vans, and it's actually a really good vibe.
And the pet market is literally 2 minutes away.
Oh, that's fab as well. So that's basically like this big food stall area. And especially just right before lockdown, they were showing all the rugby games. It's a lot of really, really fantastic food and drinks, and it's a really good, really good area. And so that's on every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. So we're actually, I'll ask Emma just to do one further walkthrough and then we'll be finishing up. So again, if you have any other questions, just text them over just now.
It's a real oak worktop as well in the kitchen.
Emma, somebody was asking in terms of when you would be kind of looking to move. You've said previously that you could be flexible. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at properties at the moment. There's one that I've seen that I quite like. So, but if I was unsuccessful, like I could move out and stay at my mum's. So
So I know that for any of the offers that we've been discussing with buyers and sellers at the moment, obviously just because we're not totally certain when lockdown will be lifted, I've been asking people still just to be quite flexible in terms of maybe just being aware that there could just be a requirement to have some flexibility on either side. So we've been trying to agree kind of long stop dates of entry. So maybe hitting around kind of 12 weeks. Your typical time frame would have normally been kind of pre-lockdown would have been about 6 to 8 weeks from the day that the offer is accepted to when you would normally have a date of entry. So yeah, like I said, we're looking just now where we're saying kind of let's just err on the side of caution and hope for about 12 weeks with the idea that once lockdown lifts, we can all kind of have a discussion. And if we can bring it forward, we may need to, but we may as well to kind of need to ask for some flexibility to kind of extend it a little bit. But as Emma said, she does have other options that she could go stay with family as well. And the freestanding wardrobes will be staying, as will all the white goods. Okay, everybody. So I think that we're going to probably end the tour here. Like I said, if anybody has any questions, just feel free to, you can send us a message on Facebook. I've probably spammed you all with about 1,000 emails. So that's myself. So my name is Zaina. I spell it Tzana. So just feel free to send us an email, send us a Facebook message, give our office a call. Our telephone lines will be open again tomorrow at 9 a.m. And yeah, we're happy to help. And hopefully everybody thought that this worked okay. I have tried to record the video. So I'll work on trying to condense it down and uploading that onto YouTube. So like I said, we are open to considering any offers. We do appreciate that with the way that lockdown is, that somebody may want to kind of submit an offer that is subject to an in-person viewing. We won't be discounting those. We're happy to look at this. There are currently 3 formal notes of interest in place. So if you are interested, don't feel like that just because of lockdown that properties won't be selling. Like I said, we have agreed offers. We have set closing dates for properties. And we are still very much keen to look at securing an offer. So if you do have any questions, let us know. For anybody that's on here that is looking at this as a potential buy-to-let investment, just get in touch with us. And like I said, we work with a lot of letting agents throughout Edinburgh that I can put you in touch with. I can get them to come in and have a look at the floor plan, as well as maybe this video to give you an assessment on what the potential monthly rental could be, and looking at this as a potential investment to the area. Just to touch base on the area as well. So obviously the trams will be coming, and where Emma was previously talking about, if you don't mind showing back out to the front space, Emma, so when you're on Portland Street just there, and how we were talking about if you take a right just when you're walking out here and you then go into the junction where Lindsay Road and Commercial Street and Ocean Drive meet, there's going to be a tram stop just behind that street. So just right behind Ocean Terminal. So it's really, we're anticipating it is going to become a good area and a good location to kind of invest in and to own a property in, just mainly if you look at the trends of what's happened with Haymarket and the areas there just because of the tram stops. So that's perfect, everybody. Well, I'll end the meeting just now. And like I said, just give a call or send an email with any questions. Thanks so much for joining in.